Persons listening to this show should experience varying degrees of euphoria and might radiate a warm glow of truth from their entire being. This phenomenon sometimes lasts hours after a typical brain massage. If you are listening with another lights-on listener and they begin to glow, don't be concerned. This is a phenomenon normally associated with Pastor Scheidbach's patented brain massage technique and merely means the truth has set them free. The devil beware. Pastor Scheidbach is on the air.
Hello, I'm Dr. Scheidbach, pastor at the Lighthouse Baptist Church in Santa Maria, California, and your brain masseur. Get ready for your brain massage. From a tweet I saw recently, Trump will give us all the free stuff we really need. Free market, freedom of religion, freedom of speech, freedom to bear arms. You get the idea. Impossible to get away from this virus issue, isn't it? But let me remind you of the virus you really need to be concerned about. The Dems are on a tear to gin up a coronavirus panic. Why? At least a few of the elements of my answer might surprise you. Let's just say, if the Justice Department won't act on Spygate and Hillarygate and Shiftgate and Bitingate, all gates of hell, Judicial Watch will. Coming to a sanctuary city near you. ICE crackdown. Oh yeah. More Biden bumbling. Friend, this is getting really sad. But the devious Dems have a plan, and we had better watch and pray. Fellow friend of liberty and tyranny's foe, it's time for your brain massage.
Truth served here, flavored with delectable wit, succulent sagacity, luscious logic. A gourmet meal for the mind.
Now, I'm guessing you're about as sick of all the hype about the virus as many have been made sick by the virus itself. If the media had hyped the swine flu like they are hyping this one, well, it might have saved at least a few lives. So did they learn something from the swine flu and they're trying to, take care of things better now? Oh, no. No, that's not it. Let's set the record straight. The swine flu ran its course in about 1 year. And by the way, that's about how long most of these pandemics last. Remember SARS in 2003, the swine flu in 2009, MERS, Zika, 2015 and 2016, all of them. The swine flu was particularly nasty. 60.8 million cases identified in the United States. 274,304 cases were hospitalized in the U.S., and at the end of it all, the count comes in at 12,469 Americans died in the swine flu epidemic. Obama declared a national health emergency in April 2009, and that's when the swine flu appeared in the United States with 20 Americans diagnosed. And this one, by the way, immigrated to America from Mexico, where it started in pigs, and it jumped from swine to humans, which is why they call it a coronavirus. That's what a coronavirus is, a virus that jumps from animal to human. Anyway, probably many in Mexico had contracted the disease, but it was not diagnosed as a coronavirus until some came up with it here. The measures taken were customary by Obama. He requested $7 billion to fund treatment, but it turns out the measures were inadequate in the end. As I pointed out, 60.8 million got the virus, almost 300,000 were hospitalized, over 12,000 died. That's all very sad. The difference between declaring a health emergency and declaring a national emergency involves the amount of federal resources that can be directed to address the emergency. Now, those who accuse Obama of not declaring an emergency until October 2009 are referring to the fact that he did not declare the swine flu to be a national emergency until October of 2009. And that was after the disease had afflicted hundreds of thousands and claimed, 1,000 American lives. Yeah, 1,000 American lives. What no one seems to remember, however, is how the Obama administration was fumbling, trying to deliver and take care of this. The promised vaccine was not getting to hospitals and doctors. They're frustrated by slow response to calls for the vaccine. And then that was compounded by mounting suspicion that the vaccine being distributed was actually not effective. Hundreds of thousands were suffering. Hospitals couldn't get the vaccine, and those who were taking the vaccine were complaining. Anyway, it was a mess. Obama had to take the vaccine on national TV in order to encourage, he hoped, to encourage Americans to trust it. It was a mess, my friends, but the lamestream media did its best to cover it all up. About 6 months later, Obama finally, in October, recognized this pandemic as a national emergency. Let me look here. Yeah, then by November 22, several million Americans were now suffering from the disease, and 4,000 had died. And then by the end of the pandemic, which was in February 2010, 60.8 million Americans had been afflicted by the disease, 273,304 had been hospitalized, and 12,469 Americans died. But why bring this up? I mean, what really does that have to do with what's going on right now? Why did Trump bother to point out that Obama did not declare the swine flu pandemic a national emergency until 1,000 Americans had died from the disease? Isn't that sort of petty? And isn't that somewhat beside the point? I would think so normally, but let me tell you why it comes up. As an example, Lawrence O'Donnell of Breaking News on MSNBC said, quote, "More people are sick in America tonight because Donald Trump is president. More people are dead and dying in America tonight because Donald Trump is president," end quote. That is outrageous. And that is, by the way, only one example of the sort of vile and wicked political hack job attacks Trump is getting from these weasels in an election year. From what I just told you about Obama and, the story that happened there in the swine flu, you understand it would be more justified to say that more Americans died during the swine flu pandemic because Obama was then the president. But no one with any sense of responsibility and decency would come out and say that. But in truth, a case could be made to support that statement, that he did too little too late. Let's look at what Trump has done and is doing. Trump administration declared the COVID-19 virus to be a health emergency at the outset of revelations about the outbreak in China. The CDC released an alert to any traveling to or from Wuhan, China in early January. January 20, an American who had returned from Wuhan, China, heard the alert and discovered he had the disease. Trump declared the disease to be a health emergency a few days later, on January 30. He initiated travel bans to protect Americans, and liberals wailed and moaned and criticized him for doing that. Yeah, they literally mocked him for initiating travel bans to and from China and from other European countries where the disease had appeared. Now, during this time, CNN was referring to this virus as the Wuhan virus. Yeah, I think I counted like 20 times that this was done. MSNBC, ABC, CBS, NPR, all of them repeatedly referred to it as the Chinese coronavirus and then alternately as the Wuhan virus. And I want you to keep that in mind for something I'm going to bring up in just a moment. Trump is expected to declare this a national emergency today. Show prep date for the Brain Masseur. At present, worldwide, there are 137,445 reported cases. This spread out over 117 countries with 5,088 deaths overall worldwide. In America, we have 1,820 confirmed cases spread out over 47 states with 41 deaths. Now, the number of cases, by the way, includes those from the Diamond Princess cruise ship. You might remember hearing about that. And, by the way, evacuees coming here from Wuhan, China. Now, 80% of the confirmed cases are rated as mild. There's an expectation that these people will recover. Deaths are almost exclusively appearing among older persons with pre-existing conditions. Younger people have a very good chance, almost 100% expectation of full recovery. To get some perspective on all of this, it works out the same way with every other flu we routinely experience. During every flu season. Thousands of older people, especially with depressed immune systems, and especially if they have other health complications, die from what we would call the influenza every year. Listen to this, more than 10,000 people have died in America from influenza already during this flu season. The one difference is that we do not have a vaccine for this latest coronavirus. But get this, they are already in phase 1 testing. The National Institute for Health is in phase 1 of testing a vaccine right now. And there are about 10 others who are testing a vaccine right now. And by the way, that is from the time a virus appears in a population to the point of bringing a vaccine to market The timing here is amazing. Dr. Anthony Fauci of the National Institute of Health reported, quote, getting the coronavirus vaccine into phase 1 of testing has occurred the fastest that anyone has ever done, literally, in the history of vaccinology. Okay. Anyway, Trump's response to all of this, as compared with how the Dems are reacting, my friend, it's a study in leadership versus what really amounts to ugly, partisan, political gamesmanship. In other words, the antithesis of real leadership. Let's look at Trump's response to all this. First, he declared a health emergency and used the powers under that to restrict travel to and from China. And as the disease appeared in other countries, he expanded the ban to those countries also. He's taken a lot of heat for that. But this has almost certainly saved hundreds, if not thousands, of lives. Second, he requested special increased funding from Congress to address the disease, as Obama had done before him, and other presidents, by the way, who've dealt with this kind of thing. He thought $4 billion additional funding to what was already available would take care of it. But the Dems wanted to, well, I think they were motivated in an effort to upstage him. So they put a bill out there for $8 billion, and Trump said, yeah, that's fine. I'll take all you want to give me. But then here's what these wicked people did. They put together a bill bloated with pork. This thing practically grunts. They infected the bill with a kind of swine flu virus of their own in a bill purported to be about providing funds to assist Americans impacted by this most recent flu pandemic. These muck-wallowing swine injected money to kill babies by legalized abortion. They want to use it to sneak taxpayer-funded abortion. These people are so vile. Trump issued an executive order that will, quote, decrease American dependence on China in the fight against this pandemic. And we have no business being tangled up with them anyway. Fourth, Trump is declaring the matter a national emergency, broadening the government's ability to dedicate resources to address this issue. Fifth, Trump has also sought to provide perspective on the issue, to tamp down the panic that the left is trying to stoke. Everyone dealing with a public emergency knows the importance of providing honest information and countering panic, and usually the truth will do that. His speech was excellent. I hope to address it on the other side of the break, but to conclude this segment, Trump reminded us in his speech that these things happen, and they have been happening since history began. And he assured us that he is taking real action to protect Americans. Jesus said the same thing, by the way. He listed the sorts of things that have gone on throughout history and that he said would continue until the end of this world. And included in his list are these things: wars and rumors of wars, with nation rising against nation, kingdom against kingdom. He mentioned famines, pestilences, and that would include diseases like COVID-19, earthquakes, all of this. He said these things are the beginning of sorrows. None of this portends the end. These are what you might call the Braxton Hicks pangs that remind you of what's coming, but do not signal the arrival. Now, that's a good place to take our break. Jesus told us pestilences will afflict us along the way as we move toward the end. And these things do remind us of what's coming, but they do not announce the arrival. Jesus said there would be pestilences in the lead up to his return, and we should take the reminder it provides us. But we should not go into a panic, because he also assured us this does not mean the end has come. You know, it's funny how funny modern Christianity is. So many are like new mothers who panic at the first experience of Braxton Hicks, and they get the whole household in uproar only to discover it was a false alarm. Here's a mega church in California that canceled its faith-healing hospital visits because of concern about the coronavirus. Oh, wow. Anyway, there aren't enough fingers and toes on my hands or on the combined hands of the thousands listening to me right now to count the number that are going to run to their pulpits and declare the virus is a sign of the end of the world. The Democrats are not the only ones to use unfounded fear to drive their agenda forward. Hold on to the break, my friends. I'll be right back.
God's War: Why Christians Should Rule the World. A shocking statement to many, but our founders didn't think so. John Jay believed Christians should prefer believers to rule our nation. Because Jesus is the King, and all mankind are subject to his crown. GodsWar2020.com. Stand by. The Brain Massage Show is about to blow your mind.
Hello, welcome back. I'm Dr. Scheidbach, pastor at the Lighthouse, your brain masseur, and Paul Revere's Lantern Lighter, lighting the lamps in the Church of Belfry Arch, singling the enemies on the march, an enemy that would steal from us our liberties. Folks, take every appropriate precaution against contracting, well, any flu in any season. And be extra careful when there's some bug running amok amongst us. But hoarding sanitizer stuff and food, well, it's neither necessary nor generous to your neighbors. Everyone ought to have a store of food, and everyone should have taken care to have a source of water for emergencies. But hoarding, it's uncomely, ungenerous to your neighbors, and in this case, it's unnecessary. Let's look at Trump's speech for a few minutes. In it, he assured Americans that his administration is taking positive action to address the outbreak. And as I go through the speech, I'll draw particular attention to the statements the Democrats have cherry-picked to criticize. And I'm sure we won't get through all of it. He referred to the virus as the coronavirus outbreak that started in China. Trigger words: started in China. He provided important background information about the origin and current status of the outbreak. He said, quote, "This is the most aggressive and comprehensive effort to confront a foreign virus in modern history," end quote. Trigger words: a foreign virus. So now the MSM are attacking him relentlessly for referring to the virus as the China coronavirus. But as I pointed out earlier, in December and in January, CNN talking heads referred to it as the Wuhan virus 20 times, at least. I mean, that I could count. MSNBC, ABC, CBS, NPR, all of them called it, alternately, the China coronavirus or the Wuhan virus. But Trump comes out and refers to it in this way, and these same wicked, evil, perverted people start, quote, shifting the narrative, end quote. That's what I heard one of them actually accuse Trump and Republicans of doing. Shifting the narrative. Yeah, trying to make it out that the virus is Chinese, calling it the foreign virus, or the Chinese coronavirus. It's outrageous. But Americans are on to these people. Look at it's like Bongino said recently. Think about this. The same jackals who worked with Russia to drag this nation through, 2.5 or 3 years of Russia collusion conspiracy theories are the same ones now working with China to create a fake COVID ID crisis. Listen to me in the context of everything I've revealed to you in this show. Instead of actually doing something to help with this, they're trying to use it to advance their political agenda. And friend, that is sick. Now, Trump is trying to lead this nation through this mess in the same way that he has led us effectively and successfully through the financial morass Obama created, just like he has done in leading us to recover freedom of speech, freedom of religion, just like he has led this nation back from the brink of utter destruction from the Almighty over the issue of the shedding of innocent blood in this land. He is taking reasonable, sensible, and effective steps to address this virus. He's a good leader. And what are the Dems doing? Well, they're fighting against him all the way, even pretending to care and to provide funding for relief to Americans suffering because of this virus. They try to use that to advance their political agenda, to advance their baby murdering agenda. They infect it with so much pork. This thing literally snorts and grunts. And I mean not just any pork either, friend. Swine flu pork. Yeah, baby murdering pork. These people, and Pelosi, you're the worst of them. These people are calloused, greedy, power-hungry, evil, crazed, perverted souls so bent on getting their way politically. They'll even use a bill that's intended to fund and help Americans suffering from this pandemic. They would use that to get their way politically. They don't care how many babies are murdered, how many are sacrificed to their political agenda. They are like the pagans of early Peru. And you might have read recently how they have found huge areas where they found thousands of babies that had been sacrificed to their stupid idea of what God is all about. It's unbelievable. These people, they don't care how many lives they expose to danger from this disease. They just want to advance their political agenda. Americans have access to the truth, however, and the fact is those lying two-faced scoundrels are the ones attempting to shift the narrative. They're the ones doing that. It's called the Wuhan virus because that's where it began. The Dems are truly on our tear to gin up a coronavirus panic, and you shouldn't let them do that to you. And the question is why? And the obvious answer is that, well, they're going to do anything they can to make Trump look bad. But you and I know, and they know this too, Americans are far more comfortable with Trump leading us through this than they would be if any of those yahoos were in power. Most especially bumbling Biden or crooked Harry. I mean, Biden and Hillary are the perfect poster child of corruption. Their response to the virus is to make it a political attack on the president who's trying to protect American lives. You know what Biden brings to the issue? Nothing. He just says travel bans. Well, that's not the answer. Well, what is the answer then, Mr. Biden? He only says Trump's response is inadequate, inept, etc. That's all he says. So what is the answer, Biden? Vote for you? Well, you've been in power for 44 years. You haven't done anything to protect Americans from this kind of thing. He never says what he would do differently. But I'll tell you what these jackals would do differently. He and his cohorts would open the borders, invite the virus into the country. I mean, their policies would result in, 60.8 million Americans getting sick, 270,000 plus being hospitalized, and more than 12,000 dead. That's their record. They care about one thing, getting power. And getting revenge for Hillary. And more importantly, regaining power so they can finally and completely bury the truth about their corruption. The Democratic Party is corrupt at its core. I think this is about deflecting attention from some things that are going on that I think terrify them. Judicial Watch is finally going to get Hillary under oath to testify about her shenanigans. After 6 years of litigation, finally, Judicial Watch has compelled Hillary to testify under oath about her secret email server and about her Benghazi records. And by the way, Adam Schiff is sweating bullets. Judicial Watch has filed a lawsuit against him. Now I'm reading this. Judicial Watch announced it today, filed a lawsuit against Representative Adam Schiff and the House Intelligence Committee for the controversial subpoenas issued for phone records, including those of Rudy Giuliani, President Trump's lawyer. The phone records led to the publication of the private phone records of Giuliani, Congressman Devin Nunes, journalist John Solomon, Trump attorney Jay Sekulow, attorney Victoria Toensing, and other American citizens, and quote, "This is a crime. If you did it, you'd be sitting in jail right now." And that's where Adam Schiff belongs. He violated the civil rights of American citizens and did it under the color of law. He abused his power as a member of the Congress. He must answer to these very serious allegations. Now, somehow it seems the left has made Barr somewhat quiet, but don't think this couldn't have happened without his help. And we do hope there is some strategy here, but thank God, you know what? If the Justice Department can't or won't act on Spygate, Hillarygate, Schiffgate, Bidengate, all gates of hell, Judicial Watch will. Well, folks, we really do have good leadership in place right now, and we have been through these pandemics many times. According to one email circular, one of these pestilence outbreaks occurs in every election year. SARS in 2004, avian flu, called the bird flu, in 2008, swine flu in 2010, MERS in 2012, Ebola in 2014 and 2018, the Zika virus in 2016, and now the COVID-ID virus in 2020. What a coincidence, right? No. Look, SARS was over in 2003, but at least someone talked about it in 2004. The bird flu of 2008, well, it was not a problem in 2008, but the Democratic Party mentioned it once or twice. The swine flu was over in February of 2010, so I guess that's close. And MERS was first diagnosed in 2012 in Saudi Arabia, and no one in American politics mentioned it. It did arrive here in election year 2014, and I think 2 people or something like that, and I think James Carney mentioned it once. So Ebola has been around for a long time. It first appeared in 1995. But it's true that 2 Americans were infected with the Ebola virus in 2014. But in 2018, the only Democratic republic to have been afflicted with any outbreaks of Ebola was the Democratic Republic of the Congo, and then Uganda. Now, I will say, however, that in 2014, National Public Radio provided a story on how Ebola was used as a political chip by both Democrats and Republicans in the 2014 election. But in 2018, it didn't come up. As for Zika and 2016, well, Zika has troubled African continent countries since 1952. It first appeared in the U.S. in 2015 and 16 through travelers from there. In 2016, a Zika outbreak in the U.S. peaked with over 5,000 Zika virus cases reported, but it only got one mention by Clinton and Trump during their respective campaigns, and I don't know. So here we are with COVID-19, and it will come and go as all the others have. One difference, however, is that we can thank God we have an effective executive with leadership skills of Donald Trump to guide us through this. Okay, I need to close the show for today. I want to emphasize the importance that you take every reasonable precaution to protect yourself and your family from COVID-19. I mean, Lighthouse is doing that with sanitizer available, and we're all bumping elbows instead of shaking hands and things like this. And from other flus that are out there, like SARS, like Ebola, like MERS. All of them, these flus are still out there, lurking about in the wide world. And pray God will guide our medical people to find a vaccine that will prove effective against this, as they have the others. And remember, Jesus told us how it would be as we wait for his return. He told us there would be wars and rumors of wars, with nation rising against nation, kingdom against kingdom, that there would be famines and pestilences, that's the diseases we're dealing with, and earthquakes in diverse places. He assured us that these things are the beginning of sorrows. And so we should soberly reflect on his words when this sort of thing comes up. I mean, Jesus did tell us this would happen. He told us these things remind us of what is coming. But he also went out of his way to assure us that these things do not signal that the end has come. And that means we will continue on, my friends. A vaccine will be forthcoming, and we will live to see another pestilence come along before it's over, I'm sure. Don't let the devils that control the Democrat Party today scare you into unreasonable panic and confusion. We know they are planning to incite violence. If they feel it's the only way they can overthrow this president and all of us who support him, they are not going to yield power back to the right without a fight. And remember, they are of that spirit that takes the kingdom by force. I heard from a friend who has some inside information about what's going on, and he informed me of a conference call recently with the White House and the CDC, in which it was revealed that special urban disturbance squads have been deployed and stationed throughout key places in the country by the Department of Homeland Security in order to respond quickly if anarchy breaks out. Yeah, the concern is that the threat seems to be larger than we have adequate forces to address. Can you believe this? The concern is that the left will succeed to inspire widespread panic that will lead to food shortages, resulting in anarchy and general panic in certain urban areas. Now, I hope this is simply an effort to be prepared, a kind of just-in-case thing, and not because the Bernie crazies are actually mobilizing. Yeah, you've heard about their plans. Forget it. It has gotten very, very weird out there. The Democrats are capable of going to the extreme of open in-the-street violence to take this country out from under God and into socialistic tyranny. We had better watch and pray. And by watch, I mean you take all appropriate measures to be prepared. And by pray, I mean get in your closet, close it, and get into some fervent, effectual prayer. I've lit the lamps in the church belfry arch, and now you let me know you see they're on. You could call me at our listener response hotline, which is 805-314-2114, and just leave a message, say lights on, which means you accept what I'm saying, which means you support me and what I'm saying here, or just say lights off if you object to what I'm saying. Email me by going to our website, BrainMassage.net. That's BrainMassage.net. Find the contact button, send me an email. God bless you, God bless America, and I'll see you in church.